Okay, seems like we're all set. Let's go. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to my stream. I'm Pierre. I hope you're all doing well. So, my friends, we are going to start off on this painting. We are going to, first of all, just to wake up, just to get into the mood, do like we always do. We're going to go over to the computer right there. We're going to check out very quickly what we did yesterday, and then we'll tackle our day from there. So yesterday, what did we do? Well, first of all, of course, we rolled up the canvas that we had finished last week, and then we measured off the new canvas, cut it up, stapled it to the wall, and then we added a coat of gesso just because the industrial gesso they have is total crap. So that's what we did yesterday. So what are we going to do today? Well, I had mentioned yesterday that I would probably just walk into the studio and wing it as I usually do. Never have really a clear idea of what I'm going to paint, especially when I'm knocking off these paintings week after week. So anyways, I also mentioned yesterday that my gallery owner that came by just when I finished the last painting and took a whole bunch of my paintings to his gallery, he had mentioned that my canvases that I staple on the wall, I basically chose any kind of size that pleased my eye. And it was kind of a problem for him because to put these canvases and stretch them afterwards on these odd sizes cost him a lot more money than if you went with the standard frame size. So he asked me if I wouldn't make an effort and maybe try to coordinate things a little better. So that's exactly what we did yesterday. We measured off, and I'll go to camera number 1 to show you, but we measured off a little frame of maybe 3-4 inches all the way around, which is going to be the part that they will use to stretch the canvas on a frame when it's done. So what I'm going to do today is then I'm going to, since I love painting frames on my paintings, I'm going to make another frame on the inside, which will be the inside, which will be the frame to my real painting. So that is the first thing I'm going to do. But before even doing that, I am going to move this canvas up a few inches because as I'm making all these frames and reducing the size of this canvas, I realize that it's going to be pretty low and not going to be very comfortable to work with. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is just get comfortable, make sure that I start off on the right foot. I mean, all this is kind of new to me too, doing these changing all my mentality of how to hang and how to get this staple out, how to hang these paintings and leave some canvases. Leave enough canvas so they can stretch it on a frame. And actually what I'm probably going to do from now on is buy unprimed canvas, and just since I put a coat of primer on it anyways, I might as well make it easier for the guys who are going to stretch these canvases in the future. So you see how confident I am that I'm going to be selling these paintings? Wow. Anyways, so I'm going to bring this up just about right there, just a few inches higher. And I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to step back and make sure that all this is nice and, yeah, that's what I figured. It has to go up a little bit more. I rarely get these on the first shot, but let's try it now. See if everything is nice and level. So it looks like it's not quite vertical right there. Looks like it still needs to go up a shot more on this side. Or I could bring it down on the other side, but the whole point was to move the whole thing up so I would be so it'd be more comfortable. And now it looks like it's just right. Okay, so now the top of my canvas is right here, not right here, but right here. So that's a pretty comfortable height for me to work on. So first things first, I'm going to again do one of my little frames. I don't know why I like painting with a frame. I don't do it to all my paintings, but I must admit quite a lot of them I do. And the gallery owner asked me about that the other day. I really didn't know what to answer. I think it's just a question of aesthetics or something like that. So put one there too. And I'm just going to use my compass to measure off the corners where these lines will cross. Now, how's that for... Is that going to be wide enough? I think it will be. I think I'll be okay. Just to make sure, I'm going to just draw this first line. Like that, I'll be able to see better if this is going to be the right width for my frame. And it looks pretty good. Okay, so let's do the same on this side. Now, of course, I didn't answer on purpose what I'm going to paint on this canvas because, to be honest, when I woke up this morning, I had no idea what I was going to do. And actually, until I actually walked in the studio, I had no idea what I wanted to paint. The only thing that I do know is that that last painting I did had so many colors, so many of the primary colors in it, that it kind of burnt out my eyeballs and my brain. So I think I'm going to do this painting all in grays. Like that, I can continue to work because that is what I enjoy. There's no way I'm going to stay at home until I have some sort of inspiration. I'd rather just whip out another painting and be good or bad. It doesn't really matter as long as I'm painting and working. That is really what I enjoy doing the most. Of course, I like painting things that I'm happy with. That last painting I thought was gorgeous. It was just a great painting. I loved it. So maybe this one I won't like as much, you know, the yin, the yang. But anyways, I'm going to go from colors into grays. That's what I'm going to do so far. So that said, let's draw out the rest of this frame. Where are my pencil marks? There they are. And since I don't have a particular motive in mind, I am probably just going to bounce back to my favorite subjects, which is some sort of symbolism. And of course, that means I'm going to put in my nuclear TheZenRebel guy, and then I have a little bit of time to figure out what my other symbols will be. So a frame within a frame within a frame. That's pretty cool, I guess. And let's get this last line done. There we go. So let me step back and just take a look at this frame, and yeah, that looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I could have gone maybe just a 1/4 inch wider, but no big deal. So I am just going to do a huge head holding the symbol in its hand. And how am I going to do this? Am I going to pencil this out, or am I just going to wing it and go with a paintbrush? I'll just draw it out real quickly. And then we'll lay down the first coat of the background color, which is going to be gray. The whole thing is going to be grays, variation of grays. If I can get my hand out of my toolbox with my pencil sharpener. There we go. Just put an edge to this pencil. My daughter's pencil from 3rd grade. I've had for like God knows how many years. Anyways, so let me check this out. And I am not going to mess around. I am going to go with something like that. Actually, maybe that's a little too big. So it's a good thing I went with the pencil instead of with the paint. Let's bring this back down to scale. I wanted to see this guy big, but that's ridiculously too big. So let's get this guy a little bit smaller. So how's that looking? Where am I here? On camera number 2. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. Just get the proportions right as well. So I am Okay, let's just get things together here. That doesn't look right either. A little bit more like it. Open a little bit. So what does this look like? Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Just I need to get rid of these marks that are going to screw me up. There we go. Like that. Mm-hmm. There we go, getting there, we're getting there. Why don't we make this a devil? Been a while since I painted a devil. Oh. Now, how does all that look? That looks pretty good. I'm getting there. I don't think I need to do what I'm doing right now, but I think I'll make it a lot more sense on the camera while I'm doing this. So, can you tell what all this looks like from, if I switch over to camera number 1? I'm not sure. Let me switch over to camera number 1 and see if you can see the details of the drawing or not. I'll just step to my computer. I can't tell, really. Okay, so that's basically what it's going to look like. I got the drawing. I'm not sure you can really see, but once I start putting the background, everything is going to pop out, so that's going to be okay. Now, well, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with my kind of destruction forces on the bottom. So let's get to work. Let's get to work. So what do I need? I need to make some gray paint, and that's what I'm going to be doing for this entire painting. So let me grab a palette here. See if I can clean off this palette here, make it brand new. So what does that mean? I'll show you right here on camera number 1. Let me just bring this over a little bit like that. And I'll switch over. And I'll show you down here on this palette that has some black and purple here. But as you can see, the binder for acrylic paints is nothing else then, as you can see, plastic. So if you peel it off once it's really dry, and since the cap is non-plastic, non-porous, well, the acrylic paint just peels right off, and you can see the plasticity of this because the binder is nothing more than a polymer emulsion. So it's basically like just plastic. And in the 50s, the first acrylic paints, well, with time, they tended to yellow. But of course, they have since then fixed all those kind of problems and resolved the yellowing of these paints. So this is just another one of the great, especially for a person who paints the way I do. Of course, you can add some other kind of polymers to it so it doesn't dry quickly, so you can work wet on wet. I mean, they've made a lot of progress. You know, you go look at what Liquitex, for example, what they do with their brand. It's just pretty amazing, amazing stuff. There we go. So now we have a brand new clean palette. So let's come back up to our main canvas. I'll switch back over to camera number 2. And we'll start making a light gray. I'm going to start off with a light gray, and then like usual, I'm going to probably knife on the rest just to give it some texture and some depth and make it look a lot richer, a lot nicer. But first of all, let's just get the background paint done first. And then little by little, we'll be adding the details with the knife as we go along. So let me just get a paintbrush. There, this one looks like it'll do the trick for now. Yeah. Clean off my spoon here. There we go. And then I'll add a little bit of the black paint. So there we go. Let's get the black right here. I'm not going to put too much because I do want to start with a light gray. And as we paint along, we'll just make it darker and darker and lighter and blend everything in together. So there we go. Get that done. Just going to mix a little bit of the black with the with the white, just to get a background of our gray, and then we'll go back and we'll, as I said, add all the details with the knife to make everything look better. This is just a preliminary background. And we won't have to wait for this to dry because I'll just go on top of it. So work wet on wet, as they say. So I am ready to go. Tackle a brand new canvas. I'm just going to step back for 1 second, take a look. And like the proportions look just right, so that's pretty cool. I'm just going to grab my chair over here. And let me just make a little pencil line just to make sure that I'm staying in the right height of where I want to be. So I'm going to start right in here. I go like that. And probably come back. Let's just go to here. Something like that. There we go. It's just to give you an idea of where I'm going. So now that that's done, let me just get rid of the excess water on my brush. There we go. Let me clean off my knife. Boy, it feels like I haven't painted in months, and it's been only what? Been 2 days, yesterday, and then last Friday? Weird. Weird, weird, weird. So, got that together. Got my gray here, which I guess this will be fine to start off with. I'll have to add some white a little bit later. So let me grab camera number 1. I'm going to move it to the side so my head isn't in front of the lens. Let me get these wires out of the way. There we go. So I'm going to start right there. Switch over to camera number 1. And let's start painting these rubbles. Just going to go down here and get the edge. So I'm still in the way, aren't I? Something I don't like to do, so I'll just zoom in a little bit like that. This is just to give me an idea of where we want to go. There we go. Just like that. And I'm just going to go crisscross, just like that. Just laying that first coat of gray. Just getting all that background. And then we'll come back and make this a lot more detailed. I'll leave the camera like that. Why not? All this doesn't really matter because all this is going to be changed as we go along. Actually, I can put this on fairly thick as well because we are going to be working on this, so the more texture there is on this canvas, the better it is. Okay, I'm going to move over a little bit. And I guess I will bring the camera over this time a little bit more closer. Let's not get too sloppy here. Okay. And the boundaries. There we go. Okay, so I got this coat done. Now I'm just going to go back and work everything a little bit with the knife. Make it all thicker. There we go. So I'll come back over here. This is where we'll start from on that side. But in the meantime, I do have to make quite a bit more paint because I'm going to be knifing it on. So that always takes quite a bit. So let's get the white paint again. And my spoon. I'm almost at the bottom of this, but I got another full jar, so I may as well just empty this out. And I'm going to make two piles. One that will be the dark grays and one that will be the lighter grays. And the dark grays always kind of overwhelm the lighter grays. So we're just going to work this, just mix everything up. And with the knife, we will do all the work with the knife as we're knifing everything on. So here's my knife. So, and I love working with the knife. So this is going to be a lot of fun for me. Let me see here. Should I zoom in a little bit? Just so we can see what I'm going to be doing. Why not? Like that. Theoretically, I should be out of the way. So let's get back to camera number 1. And then let's start knifing everything on. There we go. Off with the dark. Follow through with the lighter grays. Of course, this is still background. You have to remember that we're just doing a lot of the background right now. So. You can tell already how nice that looks. Gives really what we want, kind of chaos, destruction. And of course, on top of all this, we will be adding the details with the paintbrush when it's all finished and dry. The actual details of the destroyed buildings. Heavy price of paying for war. Don't want this too dark either, because the details on top of that are going to be kind of dark itself. So we do want the windows and the destroyed buildings to stick out. So be careful not to. We do want some dark shading in there, but we don't want to make it too dark either. Try to keep on this nice and thick as well, of course. Oh, that looks pretty good. Wipe off there. And we'll get this first coat on, and then we'll step back and fix wherever it needs to be added, a little darker, a little lighter. At least get this first coat down pat. There we go. What happens here? If I just kind of zoom in a little more. Let's try that give me something to play with when I edit the movie afterwards for the recap. There we go. There we go. I hear my friend Claudine arrived. Yes. Keep going, knifing these babies on here. Look at them. So I hope it looks as good on the camera as it does in real life, because it really looks pretty super, I must say. So much nicer than when you paint this stuff on. Looks more chaotic. And in war, that's what you have. Chaos, unfortunately. Kind of running out of paint here already, even though I did put a massive amount on my palette. Yeah, I need more of the lighter white paint. So I'll just come over here very quickly, grab my spoon, scrape the bottom of the barrel here. I might as well clean it all out, like that I can put my other jar of white paint right in here. It's maybe a little too much. Whoops. Okay. I have a lot of old paint dried up, crusted on the edges of this can. I'm going to get rid of that right now. I have some newspaper right here. I might as well just scrape all this off and throw it out. Try to get this jar to be as clean as possible. So let me just scrape the edges off here. There's a little bit of waste, something I hate doing, but at the same time, it's going to be better for the next batch of white paint that's going to go in here. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to grab this wad of paper here, wipe off my knife. Throw that away. Wipe off my hands too, that look pretty filthy. And let's get back to our painting here. So let me bring the camera over. Just like that. I'll pull this back a little bit like that. Okay, now I got some of the white paint back in here. Let's get back into this lighter. Oh. Wipe off my knife a little bit. There we go. So where am I at? Okay. There we go. Get some of that darker gray in there first. We can come back with the lighter color afterwards and work it in. And crisscross everything. It's not really a nice fixed pattern. Pattern we want is total chaos, so. Okay, come back in here and let's get the edges right there a little bit. Like that. Yeah, I'll pull the camera back a little bit and I'll bring it back to have an overview. And I'm going to step back so that I can have an overview of all this as well. And you know what? It doesn't look bad at all. Doesn't look bad at all. Usually I have to come back and rework a lot of areas. But unless I'm getting less picky, just worried about certain areas that hopefully won't be too dark, since I said we're going with details on top of that. So maybe I'll just add a little more lightness on top of these dark areas, even though these dark areas do give it a nice just a little. Okay, very good. Very good. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Now let's move on up to putting the first coat of the background. Then we're going to have to probably wait till tomorrow for the paint to dry to most likely put a second coat on. And this part here is going to be with the paintbrush, because now we're going back to the good old standard painting that we know so well and love so much. So just wipe off my knife. I have a lot of white paint right here, which is perfect. I'm going to reuse that. And I'm going to use this beautiful brush right here. But I am going to take this white paint that we have in our can, and I'm going to move it into another palette so we don't have all the black and the dark gray. I want this to be really very light, and we will darken it little by little as we paint and add more to our painting. So let me just now blend a little bit of water, because it is very thick paint here and we do want to make it a lot lighter. Just get all that water out of my brush, and I'm just going to mix it all up. Mix up, mix up. It's going to be awfully light. I'm going to add just a whisker more black paint in a few seconds. First, I'm going to get it to be the right consistency, and then I'll add a little more black to make the gray a little bit darker. Not much, but just a little bit darker. Just a little more water. There we go. Let me just work this for a few seconds here. Let me step back and take a look. Yes, so far I like it. I'm never going to have enough paint right there to do the whole surface. Am I? I doubt it. No way. No way, Jose. So, I might as well make more paint right now. And you know what? I'm going to go back here in my little kitchen area, and I'm going to grab that ball of newspaper with all the paint that I threw away a few minutes ago, and I'm going to scrape this back up and use it. I didn't think I'd need it, but there we go. Okay, so I'm making a huge mess on my hands. Fortunately, a little soap and water will take care of all that. Okay, there we go. Now I feel better of not wasting anything. Out of the way. And let's mix in this white paint with some water again. There we go. And I might as well just bring in a tad of the black. There we go. Just to make the gray slightly darker. There we go. I like that shade that it's getting a little bit darker because our main character is going to be in the lighter gray. So and then we're going to add like maybe plants, gray, darker gray plants. So it's good to have the background a little bit lighter than the rest of the canvas. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go along. My paintings are like puzzles, right? We just go along one day at a time, add stuff that we see as we walk in the studio. Okay, so this looks pretty good. I don't want it dripping all over the place, so maybe I should, since I'm such a smart person, get rid of the excess water that's on my brush. There we go. And step back. We're going to start like we always do on that upper left-hand corner and work our way around the canvas. Let me just zoom in a little bit like that. I won't be in front of the lens, at least theoretically I won't be. So I think something like that. Okay, so let's switch over to camera number 1 and let's start our main background. And again, I also have to keep in mind that when this dries, it's going to darken as well. So and we're going to put 2 coats. So if it's a little dark today, my second coat, I can always lighten things up with the second coat, right? So I don't have to worry that much. Because I can see already my brush strokes, so. Oh, first coats. Oops, shit, I'm spilling my paint on the ground here, all over my friggin' fingers. Okay. Here's baby crying in the streets. Well, now on my microphone, I can put a thing called a noise gate. Noise gate will get rid of all the background sounds that you don't want except for your voice. But I don't really do that on purpose because I enjoy having the sounds that are going on in the streets, because that is part of what I'm living here in my studio. It's part of the old Nice. It's very noisy in this neighborhood that was built like in the Middle Ages. All the streets are very narrow, so the sounds kind of just bounce off the walls of the buildings, and it's very noisy. And that doesn't bother me all that much. Two minutes from the cathedral here that was also built in the Middle Ages. And every time there's like a funeral or something, you can hear the bells toll quite loudly, I must say. Fortunately, there's not somebody dying every day, so it's fairly rare. But nonetheless, you can hear it quite often as well, I think, at least. And usually it's people of importance that are buried in the cathedral, so. Okay, continue with our first coat here. Camera down a little bit right there. There we go. There we go. First coat of our background all done. Tomorrow we'll probably put the second coat. We'll see how it looks, but I can tell already where it's starting to dry that you can see the brush strokes, so it's not going to be a surprise. If we have to put a second coat on tomorrow. So, I have more paint on my hands than I do on the canvas, which is no big deal. But what is a big deal, though, is that I am dying of thirst, so I am just going to go over to my kitchen area and grab myself a bottle of water. Oh boy, yes, that's good. Good stuff. Okay, so let's step back and take a look at what we're doing here. Okay, so the proportions look pretty good. The bottom part looks pretty awesome. First coat is the first coat. So we're well on our way to an extraordinary masterpiece. So anyways, my friends, I want to thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed today's session. I hope you'll join me tomorrow as well. We'll be here at 9 a.m. Eastern Time to continue this baby. And like usual, I'm going to leave you with two things. I'm moving my head because I see that little dot right there from the light. I'm just kind of see, is there a way I can get it? Maybe like that. Anyways, sorry about that. But anyway, so once again, thank you for joining me. I hope you'll join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm going to leave you like you always with two things. Yes, see my beautifully clean hands? Oh, yeah. So the first thing I'm going to leave you with is with my schedule. And the second one is simply by saying, ciao, mes amis.